Hello and welcome to another episode of the How to Create VR tutorial series, where you learn by watching other VR, AR, and MR professionals create the magic. I'm Marcelo Lewin, an immersive content evangelist, creator, producer, and the guy behind howtocreatevr.com. My guest creator today is Greg Dziemidowicz, the founder and lead developer at MarineVerse. MarineVerse is a startup developing interactive virtual reality sailing content. He's also the creator and founder of VR The Feedback, which allows VR creators to add the ability to collect audio feedback from your players inside the VR experience. Today, Greg will be showing us how to add VR The Feedback into a Unity project and how to manage that metadata and audio feedback via a web app. But before we get started, I want to remind you to register at howtocreatevr.com. It's free, and registration gets you access to video tutorials, practice assets, podcast interviews, ability to favorite, comment, create watch lists, plus much more. It's really quick and easy. Just visit howtocreatevr.com and click on the Register for Free button. All right, Greg, welcome to the tutorial series.
Hi, Marcelo. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I actually met you because of VR Day. You provided a code for me to download. What is it called? VR Regatta, right?
Yep, VR Regatta, the sailing game.
The sailing game, which was fantastic. Really, really cool. And there's a portion in that game where a little pop-up comes up and you are able to provide feedback about the game, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then that feedback goes back to you, and that was kind of intriguing. And then we just started talking, and you explained that you have this whole app called VR The Feedback, and that it allows you to incorporate it into games and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I thought, hey, we got to have this guy on and do a tutorial on how to use this product. So that's how we met. That's how we got you here. Before we jump into any of that, why don't you give us your background? Like, how did you get into VR? How did you get into gaming?
Yeah, so I guess grew up gaming and developing different things as a kid, and then went to uni, study, IT, and became a software engineer, and been working, in a corporate world for a couple of years. And two or 3 years ago, I was, looking for something new to do, a new challenge, and VR came on my radar. And I started experimenting with Google Cardboard. And, even with such a simple VR experience back then, it was amazing. It was kind of reminding me of this joy of creating as a kid and kind of discovering programming for the first time. It really reignited that passion for creating. And basically for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been working on VR and kind of connected my other passion, which is sailing, and started working on this project where I'm kind of trying to let people experience sailing and learn more about it, and basically use that medium of VR to share that sport. And I should probably add quickly that it's not just me that works on VR Regatta. It's, the whole team. It's 4 of us. And I guess we are all sailors and VR enthusiasts.
Yeah, and I got to tell you that it's a super cool game because it really does feel real. I mean, I haven't done much sailing, only a couple of times. But it really is a cool experience. Plus, it's actually kind of calming. You really feel like you're in the middle of the ocean there. Yeah,
for sure. And there's a bunch of things that, make it possible. But in general, because we all sailors, we kind of really went for that. Does it feel good? And, sometimes it doesn't even have to be exactly what would happen, but more like, can we create that feeling? So as a sailor, you get your memories brought back to you, and it feels like being back on the water. And we're quite proud because we quite often hear from sailors and ex-sailors that they are surprised, how real it feels. And obviously, VR is amazing, and with high-end 6 degrees of freedom systems, it's easy to wow someone. But especially sailors who traditionally maybe are not that into gaming and digital technology, they're quite surprised what we were able to pull off with VR and VR Regatta.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll put it in the show notes. People can go check it out on Steam. But you also, obviously, the reason you're here is you came up with this thing called VR The Feedback. So why don't you give us an overview of what it is? What do people get? Is it free? Is it for charge? And how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, so maybe I will start with where it came from. So VR Regatta launched in early access, which is this program on Steam where you can put your game or program before it's ready for community to kind of interact with you and co-develop the software with their feedback. The challenge, though, was that as the game VR Regatta was on Steam and people were playing it, we're actually not getting as much feedback as we would love to get. And I kind of started to go thinking how to make it easier for people to give us that feedback. And it occurred to me that, all VR headsets these days have a microphone, and it's so hard to type in VR anyway, but it's so easy to speak. So wouldn't it be amazing if there was a easy way for people to capture their thoughts while they are in VR? And that's essentially what VR the Feedback does on a client side. It enables any user to essentially grab a microphone within a VR experience and start speaking. And then what they say is being recorded and it kind of is uploaded to server. And then on the other end, the team can listen to those messages, can share them within the team, categorize and add different metadata as needed. And all in all, that creates you basically to get better insights and understand what and why is happening in your game. And we had that in VR Regatta for the last 2 years. And even this morning, I got another message, which was kind of very specific targeted problem being described by user and some suggestion. And it's a great way to stay focused and worked on things within the project that actually are impactful for what users need and can make the difference. As you know, in any software project, there's like so many things you could do, but what is actually that thing you should do? VR the Feedback helps us make those decisions.
And along with the audio, you get some metadata too, right? You can actually insert, and you're going to show us how to do this in the tutorial today, but you can insert other metadata as a programmer, correct?
That's right. And that can be used from simple things like, okay, where actually user was when he was recording, but also how long have been they playing? Is it a new user? Is it an existing user? Whatever is helpful for you when you're trying to make sense of that feedback, you can add. And essentially anything you want, you can basically include.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I personally, when you told me about it, I was blown away by it because to me, it's a fantastic idea. I mean, everybody, when you're in the middle of the game, the best way to give you feedback is when the bug happens, right? It's like, look, hey, this is what happened now. This is what I was doing. And it just goes to you and you know exactly where I was. Just really, really cool. So, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started on showing us how to incorporate into a Unity project. And then if I have any questions, I'll jump in.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it. All right. So there are two parts to VR the Feedback. There is a backend where you received or your feedback messages from users. And there is a client SDK that you include in Unity to actually capture within the game what users are saying. So let's start just by having a very quick look at the backend. We have a project here for this tutorial, how to create VR. And currently we only have just one message recorded that I recorded earlier. So we can just go ahead and play it so we can hear the message. This is a recording of feedback. So that was a quick message. And I guess we can see where it was captured. We can see how long it is and when it was recorded. And then we also have metadata, where essentially you can put whatever you need in here within the client and then see it on the backend. So I basically just capture like how long the user was holding the microphone, which is the length of the feedback, and also how long he was playing. There's also this transcribed text, which is basically a transcription of what I just said, and I will show how that works later on.
Quick question. You said you're going to show it later on, but do you use a transcription service or do you have your own AI that's doing all that?
Yeah, on the backend, we're using Transcription Service.
You are? Okay, cool.
And you can see that I'm logged into the project, but sometimes you want to share the feedback maybe with someone who is not using VR the Feedback. So you can do that. You just press share and you get this unique URL that you can safely share, let's say on Slack. And then to see this screen, you don't have to log in. You can just land here and you can listen to that message again. This is a recording of feedback. So really, that's a good initial overview of the backend, and maybe now we can go to Unity and actually show how to capture that feedback.
So quick question for you on the backend. Are you able to, for example, let's say you have a QA person or you have two QA people, are you able to let them provide feedback but attach it to a user and then search for everything that QA1 did versus QA2 did?
Yes, for sure. So one of the things that you can see here is the Steam ID, which is really a user ID. And actually, when that's present, there is an option to click through, and then you get only messages from that one user.
Like filter, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And that's actually not only useful for QAs, but if you have a game like on early access, sometimes you want to understand what someone is saying and like have they interacted with you before. And that's an easy way to kind of see, he's recording feedback now, but he recorded something else 2 weeks ago, which sometimes happens.
Right. And then on top of that, it looks like you can search by the transcription text.
Yeah, that's right. So it will be more useful once we have another example, but just to show that it works.
Right.
If I search for this, it should come up, whereas if I search for something else, then obviously it's not there.
Right. No, that's really helpful because then you can start looking for specific keywords, right? If somebody says it freezes, you can search for freezing and see where and how to fix that.
Yeah, exactly. And something that, probably should mention to put everything in the context, like this is, beta of that project, and we're still kind of working on making it useful for whatever it needs to be. So hopefully if people are interested and they have similar needs, we can work on evolving that backend together depending on what are, I guess, your needs.
Sure. And I see that you have pricing there, but you said it's free right now, right? You just want people to test. Is that correct? Or did I say that by mistake?
Yeah. No, that's correct.
Okay,
in fact, there's no really a way to register other than getting in touch with me, and then I can set you up a test project for you. So it's really early days.
Cool. And we'll put everything on the show notes so people can get a hold of you as well. Okay. Thank you. You may continue.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the Unity. So that's a empty Unity project. And the first thing we need to do is include the feedback asset. And you can find it from here. We'll put it in the show notes, but essentially just going to GitHub, and on GitHub, we have the whole project with everything for you to see, but the only thing you need is really the Unity package. So I'll grab it from releases here and download it. Should be, we got it. And now if I just drag and drop it into Unity and import it, and essentially the VR version of the client depends on Steam VR and VRTK, but you don't have to use it, and I will just show how to deal with this error that we got here, because this is an empty project and I don't have VRTK, and VRTK is this library that kind of helps you create VR projects quicker. But for now, I'll just find that file, which is microphone controller, and I will remove it from the project. And everything is now happy. So we can open our demo scene. And the point of this tool is obviously to record feedback in VR, but we will show by just capturing a feedback using a simple Unity UI, just to show the basics of the project. And then I will show how you can customize it to make it look whatever way you want within your VR experience. So if I just play that scene, we have those two buttons, record feedback and upload feedback. And if I press record feedback and I guess continue speaking, that should be recorded. And then when I press upload feedback, then in log messages here, we can see, first of all, we get an error saying that we don't have a project key configured, which is expected, and I will fix it in a second. But secondly, we got this MP3 file that we can kind of test to see whether the recording was actually captured. So let's just check that quickly to make sure. Feedback, and I guess continue speaking, and that should be recorded. And then as you can hear, that recording was there. So now let's make sure that it actually shows up in our backend. So if we go to VR the feedback and we open up our project, we can see that we have a project key. So if I grab that and within my Unity scene, I open up VR the feedback manager, I can see that there is a project key that wants to be changed. So I just copy paste that key from the website. And now if we do the same thing again, it should actually show up on the backend.
And that's how it connects the Unity game or project to the backend, to your account.
Exactly. So let's try that. Hello, this is just a test from how to create VR. Let's see if that worked. Now, if we refresh here, we have a new message from a demo to the UI. And if we play that, hello, this is just a test from how to create VR. Let's see. So yeah, we see that it was recorded. And
quick question for you. In the first one, when we didn't have the project file, and obviously it failed, the project ID, I mean, it failed because it couldn't connect it. It saved it as an MP3 locally to your development environment. But the second one actually uploaded it to Amazon S3. Did it still keep a local copy, or if there is a project file, it puts it in your Amazon S3, which is your project, I'm assuming?
Yes, so there is a local copy still. It's here, but it's basically being uploaded to that S3 bucket. Yeah, so basically, I guess what's happening here is it's recording that audio, making an MP3 file to make it small, and then uploading it to the S3 server, which then basically shows up here in the VR the feedback UI.
Right. Okay.
And I guess that's the magic. So quickly here, like we can transcribe this text, and at the moment it's manual, but in the future we may make it automatic. But if I click that, then hopefully we'll see the transcription, which is, I guess close enough to what I said.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Question for you. I mean, you said you're using a transcription service, so obviously you got to pay for that, right? Or is it like a free transcription service?
Well, it's paid transcription service with some free trial, I guess, quota. So that's how it works. And that's why, like if you ever start charging for like VR the feedback, that will be probably one of the premium features. Just because
the transcription, because you got to pay for it. Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. As you could see, configuration in Unity was really, really simple. It was just adding that project key and then it just works. To close off that section, what I want to kind of show is like how easy it is to customize it to your needs. So essentially, VR the feedback manager, which is the class you're interacting with, has two methods: record feedback and upload feedback. And in here, I'm just calling them by pressing the buttons. But in real example, in VR, when user grabs the microphone, I'm automatically calling record feedback. And when user lets go of the microphone, I'm automatically calling upload the feedback. And what that means is you have full control of deciding like how and when you will capture the feedback in your experience. All you have to do is to decide and call record feedback. And then when you think it's done, call upload feedback, which will cut the recording and upload it to the cloud. But other than that, this is just a Unity project, so you can do whatever you want. All right, so now that we know how to do it in, 2D, let's see how this may be used in VR. So I have a second scene here, demo VR. And for that, we'll be also using SteamVR and VRTK. And in terms of the setup, we have our VR feedback manager again with the project key configured. And we also have this grabbable mic, which is a prefab I'm providing as an example, which is basically using the VR feedback manager to record and upload the feedback, but also has a couple of UI elements that make it work in VR. So let's just go straight ahead and see it in action. So here I am in an empty scene, and you can see in front of me I have this green cube which says grab me to record voice feedback. So that's what we'll do. I will grab it, and we have a countdown. All right, and now I can start speaking. And for example, I can say, oh, I see this white cube going up and down. And then when I let go, we're getting the message that the feedback is being uploaded. And after a few seconds, hopefully it will show up in the server. Yeah, thank you. Grab me again to receive another message. So let's check on the backend whether we got our message.
And the automatic upload was because you decided to do it that way. You could have made it where when you let go, it just stopped and there's a button that says upload it now, right? Or re-record if you wanted to, let's say.
Yeah, totally. So basically...
Because you're just calling the record and upload method, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
And in this case, basically VRTK, which is this interaction framework, provides you methods to plug into when someone grabs and ungrabs the object. And that's what we're doing. Like on grab, we are starting recording. And then on ungrab, we're deciding we're calling the upload method. And that's pretty much it. And then also, I will show it in a second, but basically, Feedback Manager gives you a couple of events to subscribe to, like when uploading starts and when uploading finishes. And this way you can show helpful UI to the user to indicate that, oh, maybe you have to wait for a second because we are now processing your message. But back into the backend, we have another recording from Demo VR. And let's see that again. All right, and now I can start speaking. And for example, I can say, oh, I see this. Yeah, so we got it. And there is a new thing here, which is a Steam display name, which basically is the name of the user that captured that message. And the reason it shows up is because we included an extra metadata. So we have Steam username, which is a display name, and that's what we're seeing here. And we also have an example of hello world metadata, just to show that we can have whatever we want. So the way it happens is very simple. Basically, the upload method of Feedback Manager takes a dictionary of values, which are those metadata, and Feedback Microphone Controller, which is something that we provide as well, has this optional feedback metadata provider, which we have here. And I will just open it up to show you how it looks in code, but it's really simple. All right, so here we are in the feedback metadata provider, and we have this method, getFeedbackMetadata, that returns a dictionary of strings, which are keys and values. And you can see here we have our hello world that we've seen on the backend, and also Steam username. But really, this is just C# code. So this can be dynamic, and you can put whatever you want and whatever is useful for you.
I was going to ask that. So in there, we can grab any kind of data. We can even grab like the date and time, location. We can do whatever we want in there, basically, right? So you know exactly what you're getting.
Exactly. And like, for example, Steam ID may be helpful then to try to reach the user and maybe ask them some follow-up questions.
Right.
But it's also useful just here to, like we talked before about segregating feedback from different QAs. So here we can see all the feedback by that actual ID person, which is essentially what we have here. And, that could be dynamic and actually unique identifier for a user.
Question for you on going back to Unity. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can place the VR, the feedback manager, in tons of different objects, right? Wherever you want it to show up.
Exactly.
So I have a question for you. Let's say I'm a game developer and I wanted it in 30 or 40 different places, right? But you only want that during the early release, you called it, in Steam. Mm-hmm. But then when you go to production, when it's actually for sale, you want to turn that off. Is there a way to not have to go through all these 40 objects to get rid of everything and remove code? Is there a way to somehow kind of turn on a debug mode on, debug mode off that allows the feedback or doesn't? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. There is nothing out of the box, but it's super easy to do it. So basically, this feedback microphone controller is a prefab that we have in here. So grabbable mic. So you would probably create your own prefab based on that you would add into your own scenes. And then what you could do is, and that's actually what we do in VR Regatta, is add another script in here that checks for your debug flag or debug mode. And when that's not on, you just disable the object, so it's not there.
I see. Okay.
And like in VR Regatta, for example, we actually are not showing this always to users. We're kind of being smart in when during the user journey this shows up. So we do have grabbable mic in a scene, but we have some extra logic to decide whether it should be visible or not.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, like, this is a green cube, and that's actually what we have in the game because it works for us. But it could be actual microphone. It could be a UI panel within a game. It could be even a non-player character, like an avatar. Like it's really up to you what works for your experience. There is no really a limitation how that interaction with the user looks on your end.
It could be an audio cue that says, please leave a message about blah, whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And you could, have a couple of them with different prompts and then have a custom metadata for you to distinguish on the back end which one it was.
Right. That makes sense. Cool.
So really the last thing I could show, I guess, is how to add it to the existing scene from scratch to kind of close off. All right, so let's do it. We'll just use one of the VRTK examples. Let's try this one.
So this example is basically if you already have a project and you want to start adding this is what you need to do.
Yeah. So in this segment, we'll just show how easy it is to add to existing scene. So this is a demo scene from that other framework. And to add the feedback to that scene, all we have to do is to grab in the feedback manager and configure that project key again. And with that in place, we'll use our microphone prefab. So that's here in a scene. And all we need to do is configure that manager in here. So it's ready in a scene, so that's configured. And now if we play, it should be ready to go. All right, so here is my cube. And if you can see it. So now I'm recording from one of the existing scenes. And let's check whether we got it on the backend again. And we did. So as you can see, it's super easy.
And the demo scene name, that comes from where?
Yeah, it comes from metadata as well. It's just one of the metadatas that we capture automatically for any message you capture. And really, I guess we can quickly have a look into the code because I guess you have access to it. The client is open source. So you can see that we have this method upload to server, and we always add those data bits, and one of them is game scene, where we just grab the current scene.
Yeah, the active scene. Okay. That's great. That's great because then you know exactly where to go and debug.
Yeah, exactly. And you could add more things. Like if you wanted to, you could add actually the user location within the scene as well, if your scene is huge. And for, I guess, people listening that maybe are using Unreal, we don't have Unreal client, but really the main value of VR the feedback is that backend here we have here, and the API to interact with the backend is really simple. So it's possible to create many different clients, both for Unity, but even for a custom project or for Unreal, potentially down the line, even for like a website.
Right.
Like,
or WebVR.
Yeah, for WebVR. And then basically, like, it's not only limited to Unity, it can be used with other frameworks as well down the line.
Right, definitely. Yeah, but you'll have to change the name of the website.
I mean, always in VR, I guess.
That's right. There you go.
But yeah, you're right.
All right, Greg. Well, hey, this was really very, very, very cool. So then after they included it, then basically they can just start using it. So that just to use this, they just have to contact you, basically, for now.
Yeah, that's it. And all I have to do is create a project on the backend so you can log in and get that your unique project key for your project, and then you can start using it. Very
cool. Greg, well, thank you so much for participating in the tutorial today. I really appreciate it. It's a really great idea, VR the feedback, and I hope people start using it. If people want to get a hold of you or learn more about you, beside using VR the feedback to give you feedback, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way is to reach out on my email address, which is greg@marineverse.com. And I guess that will be maybe in the show notes.
Yes, we'll put it in the show notes.
Awesome.
Excellent.
But yeah, other than that, thank you, Marcelo, for the opportunity. And really glad that I was able to share that tool with the community.
I'm glad you were here, and I'm glad the rest of you were here with us as well. Just a quick reminder, if you want more video tutorials just like this one, assets to practice with, podcast interviews, plus much more, make sure you register for free at howtocreatevr.com. Also, if you are ever in the Southern California area, we have a monthly meetup with lots of great VR, AR, and MR presentations. You can join our RSVP for our next meetup at howtocreatevr.com/meetup. So until the next episode, I'm Marcelo Lewin. Cheers, everyone.